free speech. It's more important than your feelings. The Kate Dalley Show starts now.
The success of DOGE is only possible with President Trump and with the outstanding cabinet that he selected. It would be impossible without the support of the president and the cabinet.
But you're finding the money. I mean, it's big numbers, right?
Yeah, like Elon said, the minimum impulse bid is often $1 billion. So, for example, the $830 million, which was the online survey, that's an enormous amount of money that wouldn't have been found if the DOGE team wasn't working with it, in that case, the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, DOGE then publishes these things on our website for maximum transparency. So now the general public, it would have been impossible for the general public to have seen that. Now anyone can just log into doge.gov anytime and see these payments. As they're not yet in real time, they're close, but they'll probably be in real time within the next few weeks.
Usually when they attack DOGE, they never attack any of the specifics. So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or illegal or whatever. We're like, well, which line of the cost savings do you disagree with? And they can't point to any. And we list them all on doge.gov and the Doge handle on X. And you'll see just outrageous things, one outrageous thing after another.
So really critical systems are old. They cost a lot of money to maintain, and they can be, the efforts to improve them are often very delayed.
Social Security is because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
Hi there, welcome. It's a Friday show. I love my Fridays. Wow, okay. There was a lot in that clip. And, well, it's Friday. I'm wearing my camo pants. You can't see me, I'm on the radio. Zelensky had a garage sale. Picked up an extra pair of camos. Okay, so there's a lot to say about that clip, good and bad. I mean, not bad so much as the direction of that interview and how it went, and maybe analyzing it a little bit to see where we're at and what happens next, I guess is my point. I'm also going to show you a little bit of a deep dive on something that happened a while back. And then I want to sort of correlate some of these things together and make some points. So that's on the agenda today. And let me just say, for the record, okay, going back to DOGE, let's just go to DOGE for just a second. Everything in that clip, it sounded pretty decent, right? I mean, I think it sounded like who wouldn't like that? Okay, that's how it sounded to me. Well, who wouldn't like that? Who wouldn't like getting more Social Security that we're owed from the money that is taken from us, that is put into that program and that we receive later on in life? Who would not want more money? The promise of more money? Nice promise. Also, the systems, they've gotten in there and the systems are bad that they're using and they need to modernize it. They need to upgrade it. Okay. So you heard from the systems kind of analyst, software guy. And then, of course, Elon. Now, you know, I've done shows on Elon. Okay. So you know where I stand with Elon, but he sounds really good, right? He sounds really good. I can't deny that he's saying, hey, look, line item by line item. The left is saying, DOGE as a general term, and they're not really coming out and saying which thing they disagree with. Except for the loss of jobs. You'll hear loss of jobs, loss of jobs, loss of jobs, right? The jobs that should have never existed in the first place. You don't hear that part, but you just hear loss of jobs. Then you hear about this money and you're thinking, okay, well, transparency is good. You're thinking that, good, they're going after line item by line item. Now, the government spends almost $7 trillion a year, and Social Security is about 1.3 trillion of it. Okay. Now, the thing I'm looking at from where I sit, and that's really the only thing I can give you on my show, right, is offer up what I'm seeing and what I'm looking at and what I'm hearing. Now, all of that sounds good. You could walk away from that interview going, wow, we're getting rid of corruption. And they're explaining it line by line. And for some reason, it's all centered on Social Security right now ish. You know, it's mostly Social Security. OK, is that fair to say? And that, hey, you know, this is good. We should have done this a long time ago. So this is what I want to talk about today is, and this will give us kind of a more of a concrete, in context conversation about the cuts of wasteful spending and fraud. Okay. So I'm viewing this and I'm thinking something's wrong. Something's wrong though, because now you have people that run the government. All right. And the same people that put in King Dingaling in 2020. And by the way, Trump was far ahead in the polls. Trump should have had that nailed down because usually they get that second term. And for some reason, we got told lie after lie after lie that that America voted for Joe Biden, which we know they didn't. Okay, so I'm taking all this in, and you can go back to each election, which I have, and kind of described the events of each election, and something seems very off there. Okay, so why in the world would they now want to the elite, those that run the country, to cut their own throats and not be able to hide their spending? Okay, so you heard a lot about transparency. You heard a lot about we are here to change transparency rules. We're here to showcase. We're here to bring up the fraud and then tell you what needs to be done. And then, lo and behold, you had the Modernization Act happen 3 days ago. Now, this is executive order, and this is Section 1, the purpose of the Modernization Payments Act. The continued use of paper-based payments by the federal government, including checks and money orders flowing in and out of the United States General Fund, which might be thought of as America's bank account, okay, imposes unnecessary costs, delays, risks of fraud, lost payments, theft, inefficiencies. Mail theft complaints have increased substantially since the COVID-19 pandemic. But that's kind of weird because I thought they upped security by giving everybody a screenshot of what's coming in their mailbox and things like that, right? But okay. Historically, Department of Treasury checks are 16 times more likely to be reported lost or stolen, returned undeliverable, okay, altered, all right? Then an electronic funds transfer, an EFT, maintaining the physical infrastructure and specialized technology for digitizing paper records costs the American taxpayer over $657 million in fiscal year 2024 alone. So now they're phasing out paper check disbursements and receipts as of September 30th of this year. And to the extent permitted by law, the Secretary of the Treasury shall cease issuing paper checks for all federal disbursements, inclusive of intragovernmental payments, benefit payments, vendor payments, tax refunds, except as specified in Section 4 of this order. Okay, it goes on. It describes the payments, direct deposits, debit and credit card, digital wallets, real-time payment systems, and other modern electronic payment options. So the government no longer pays in a paper check. Everything is done by digital. Okay. Now, go back to the CARES Act for just a second, 2020. Interesting. I remember screenshotting it because the first draft that they tried to pass had the whole entire first section was the development and millions going into government ATMs located at your local post office. And that the money would come on a card. You'd go into your local post office, since they're everywhere in the country, and that you would redeem your money out of this machine. And these machines were to be delivered to every single post office. And then you would get a card. Oddly enough, before they passed the CARES Act of 2020, the ripping off of America, the trillions, right, in there, which was bumped from billions before that to trillions. But see, we were all not watching because it was 2020. And they took it out and then they passed it. And it was really odd, I thought. I took screenshots of it because I thought it was so strange. Really? ATM, government ATM bank account machines in the post offices, and you would get the card and go in. It was just really a strange thing, but it was the first thing on the list. They took it out. They passed the CARES. Okay. Now, with that being said, this Modernization Act only means that they're changing it. It doesn't mean they're modernizing it. It means that they are out talking about, government as a whole is out talking about DOGE in a way to say, look, we have to step it up. Look at all the fraud. And by the way, Social Security, everyone's concerned about Social Security. So this is the thing they're talking about the most. And then the carrot of you could have more money. You could have more money. We're just trying to get you more money. I thought that was weird, to tell you the truth. I mean, a little alarm bell went off in my head. I'm like, there are carrots out there. You're going to get more money. Weird. Okay. So, and now they're promising the checks, $5,000 a piece, to all the money saved. Instead of going toward the debt, it's coming back to us. It's just a lot of weird things going on, right? I think it's right to be at least skeptical. You don't have to be completely suspicious, but at least be skeptical of how they're going about this, because this is only a fraction of the entire system. Okay. So Social Security is a fraction of the money. Now, can they do it all at once? No. Could they go after all $7 billion at once? No. I don't think a miracle could happen. No. But it is weird that they're passing this as an executive order this week, and then they have an interview on what DOGE is doing. And hey, it sounds credible, sounds good. Everything sounds like it should be, right? Who doesn't want to get rid of fraud? Except the pink-haired leftists, the zombies. I do, you do. We all want to get rid of the fraud. We all know there's so much fraud. Do we know the extent of the fraud? There's another question for you. I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you the end of a story before I give you the beginning of it. When I come back, you'll see what I mean. But it's really a weird thing right now, because as I'm listening, little alarm bells are going off, and I'm like, we're being enticed into this situation. And so what they're trying to do is say the leftists are against fraud and the right is for fraud. But what's the real story? What's the real story here? Which, if we're going to take a big picture view, what is it? And it is to make the argument about the cuts, right? Without making the argument of the entire government and what's been going on. And to transform our digital payment system to only digital tyranny.
Hey, I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Let the good times roll. Let them make you a clown. Let them leave you up in the air.
Welcome back. Kate Dalley Show on a Friday. I'm going to explain a couple of things, and then I'm going to open phone lines for the rest of the show. I do want to give you an opportunity to call in. And also go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Kate. When you do that, you're going to take advantage of the big BOGO sale, the big buy one, get one. This is huge, you guys. They don't do this but a couple of times a year. So take advantage right now. Buy one, get one. Ivermectin, fenbenzynol, Z-Paks, antibiotics, hormones, you name it. And make sure you have extra supply. I just don't know what's coming, and it worries me. It worries me a little bit, a lot. It worries me a little bit, a lot. There you go. How's that for your Friday show? So, okay, let me let me describe this. I'm going to give you the end of a story before I give you the beginning. I know I'm going to go backwards today for you. Okay. There was a situation in government where over 20 scientists died in the span of about 5 years, mysteriously. Much of it was called suicide, although the suicide in the way that it happened could have never, ever, ever happened that way. So you and I know, you and I both know, right? It's, come on, guys. It's, yeah. They didn't die by suicide. Okay. And over 20 scientists. In fact, some reports are 25 scientists. These are huge scientists. Okay. Working on some of the most classified things in government. This happened between 82 and 88. All right. They were part of the Strategic Defense Initiative program. These are called the GEC Marconi murders. Okay. Which they call a conspiracy. It's far from a conspiracy. In fact, even if you look to see whether it's actual conspiracy, they'll go, well, I don't know that it's a conspiracy because they all died in really strange ways. And they all worked on the Star Wars program. Just think about that for just a moment. This was back in Reagan's time. Now, growing up, we were huge fans of Reagan. And who wouldn't be? Reagan was funny. He was endearing. He was kind of the father of the nation. And he always had this great sense of humor. But so much was going on under Reagan. And Reagan, I don't think, knew about a lot of it. I think that they sort of just kept him as the guy on stage, more or less, more than he was really running things. Bush was his VP for a reason. Bush was his handler. So I do believe. So there was a lot going on under Bush, kind of like Cheney and George W. Same kind of relationship where Cheney was really running things behind the scenes. Same thing with Reagan. Okay. I would go as far as to say show pony. I think that bothers people though, because they love Reagan. And whenever I would interview people for why they were running for Congress or the Senate, and we would kind of just laugh a little bit because I'd go, well, who's your hero in politics? And they'd go Reagan. And I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, he was great. And I've always been a conservative and he's great. Who wouldn't love Reagan? But you do know that lots of stuff was going on under him, right? And you could tell that somebody didn't know very much about government and that was just a great talking point to get people to like them, to be honest, just being blunt. Okay. So these scientists, the GEC Marconi, it was a British defense company, and it was involved in our SDI project. Think about that for a moment. British defense company involved in our strategic defense. Okay. And so these scientists, a few of the scientists, only one was apparently of natural causes. And Frank Jennings, 60-year-old engineer for electronic weapons, said to have died of a heart attack in 1987. Victor Moore died of a drug overdose. His death was ruled a suicide. They had several that in a 2-year window, many deaths in a 2-year window. And they pretty much said most all of it was suicide. One guy put a rope around his neck and then hit the gas, so he decapitated himself. Kind of a weird way to do that. And then also Shani Warren was found drowned in 18 inches of water. She was gagged, hands bound behind her back, feet tied, noose around her neck. They did rule that a suicide. Don't know how somebody would do that to themselves. And then, of course, scientists had fallen off of railway bridges on the same day. Another one was found near that guy. I could go on, but you get the point, right? Okay. That's a lot of scientists to die that worked on a project that could have done some whistleblowing. Be right back. I'll explain some more. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show, KateDalleyRadio.com.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my artist studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. go finish this painting, but I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfthestudio.com.
Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
I don't know that I'd say absolutely nothing. I'm going to raise my hand. I know what war's good for. Sadly. Okay, welcome back. Kate Dalley Show. A lot of money disappears in war. Yeah, they keep them coming for a reason. Wink, wink. So, okay, so welcome back to the show, and just doing a little bit of a deep dive with you today, because this is obviously in the headlines today, the big interview about DOGE, and I want to go back to this because this will explain some things. So I'm giving you the ending before I'm giving you the beginning of that story. And unfortunately, these people died. And this is the thing. There were a number of them that had complained, these scientists that were murdered. They had complained to family and friends that they had been tasked with strange, impossible, and unscientific tasks by their employers when working on the Star Wars program in the 1980s. They weren't mentally unstable, and all the men were employed up until the day of their deaths and had not shown any sign of mental illness. So you can cross that out, okay? All the men that were murdered that had complained to family and friends had recently found new jobs and were preparing to leave those jobs that they were employed at. And so that was a really strange part of the story, okay? And so what were the strange, unscientific projects that the men were complaining of, and why had they all booked appointments? This is Britain, remember, with their MPs to talk about something. Yeah. Okay. Similar deaths and disappearances amongst defense figures in Sweden and Italy occurred at the same time. It wasn't just Britain. And then what did they say? Well, they came out with the narrative that it must be Russia. It must be Russia, and they were the ones that were getting rid of these scientists because the Star Wars program was going to be a direct result of being able to take these weaponized, weaponized machinery, put it up into space, and be able to stop a nuke. That was the idea of Star Wars. Okay, and it was talked about throughout the whole 80s. And the reason was because we were so afraid of Russia nuking us. Now, your other question should be, and so did they ever send anything over, or did they ever actually send a nuke? No, they didn't. But we were going to spend a lot of money to construct this strategic defense initiative. And it was built from the fear, again, that Russia was going to get us. Okay, so even though not a single case of a weapon of mass destruction was ever fired between us and Russia. So remember, the International Space Station cost $150 billion. So it was going to be expensive, right, to a plan to be able to stop a weapon from space impacting the United States. So using satellite for communication, of course, right, is one thing, but then making sure it's equipped with a laser that would actually work when you wanted it to, obviously a whole nother thing. Okay, so they said that the Star Wars program was never fully funded. The money that they're talking about, even up to today, the money that they'll claim, and I know that it's far more because they have these huge black budgets in government, is over $415 billion. We are still funding the Star Wars program. Let that sink in for just a second. 40 years. 40. So, all right. So the proposed missile defense system was supposed to protect us from an attack by ballistic nuclear missiles. It was announced in 1983. Reagan called for a system that would render nuclear weapons obsolete, and then to end the doctrine of the mutually assured destruction, called MAD. Mutually assured destruction, okay? You blow us up, we blow you up, okay? That's what that is. And so he described it as a suicide pact, and the elements of the program reemerged in 2019, right? Just 6 years ago, under the Space Development Agency, SDA. So the U.S. held this significant advantage in advanced missile defense systems. This was our narrative, okay? Through decades of all this extensive research and testing. This is what we were told, okay? And we weren't really told what, we were just told that, okay? And then this is what they had to do. It was set up so the SDI, the Strategic Defense Initiative organization, where all those scientists died, was set up in 1984 through the U.S. Department of Defense in advanced weapon concepts, including lasers, particle beam weapons, ground and space-based missile systems, along with sensor, command, and control computer systems needed to control a system consisting of hundreds of combat centers and satellites spanning the globe. Okay? So there were articles, and these emerged in the mid to late 1980s. And it was like, well, what did we get for our $30 billion investment, billion with a B, so far? Okay. And that was kind of interesting because everything that was written about it was written in theory. It was written in theory. So when they started out with all this money, it was, we're going to review the geopolitical management and technical consequences of establishing the Strategic Defense Missile System. And then we're going to describe in some detail how the $30 billion was spent. And then we're going to discuss the research activity that was converted into a serious acquisition program. Okay. It reminded me of Stargate, to tell you the truth. It reminded me of like, okay, here's the announcement, here's the money, and we're going to spend $500 billion, and we're going to spend this. And all right, so now we're going to go to the table, and we're just going to discuss it for quite a long time. Okay, we're just gonna talk about it. But we got the money. We got the money. So this is weird. So the program led to instrumental to conditions of the first arms control agreement out of a scare tactic. And the scare tactic was, we could be hit any moment with a Russian nuke. This is the 80s, okay? We were dressing like Madonna. I was in high school in the 80s. So this is the 80s, okay? And we are not hiding under our desks in the 50s, but we are afraid that Russia's going to nuke us at any moment. Why? Because we're the biggest military on the face of the earth and everyone's afraid of us, but we're now suddenly afraid that Russia's going to nuke us. Okay, this was about the time they started selling the idea, well, maybe that was the 90s, that North Korea was going to nuke us too. Okay, so the money kept rolling in, and in 1987, the American Physical Society concluded that the technologies were decades away from readiness. Yeah, the SDI, decades away. And another decade of research was required to know if such a system was even possible. Now, this was after all the money. This was 4 years later. They were going, well, we don't really actually think we can do it. Is it even possible? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So then by the late 1980s, the effort refocused itself when George Papa Bush came on, Mr. New World Order himself, which, by the way, when people always described him, when conservatives would describe him, they would always go, well, they love the troops, so therefore they're a good guy. George Bush was never a good guy. And if you're conservative and you don't know that yet, your head's been in the sand or you're living in a cave. Okay. He was never the good guy here. He was Reagan's handler. Then he became president. Okay. Because, they control the elections. So they did the Brilliant Pebbles, and Brilliant Pebbles came out. They kept this redirection effort even into the Clinton administration. When I come back, believe me, there's a reason I'm telling you all this. I'll be right back. You got to stay with me for this. You have to understand this big picture. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show, KateDalleyRadio.com.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our spring percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to mypillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Captain Ride upon your mystery ship.
Yeah, mystery ship for sure. Welcome back. Kate Dalley Show on a Friday show. And welcome back. All right. A lot to talk about. CozyEarth.com. Grab it now for Mother's Day. Set that aside for a month. You'll be so happy you did. You'll get 40% off. Use the code Kate, and they have the most luxurious sheets that they'll get to enjoy an entire third of their life, because we spend a third of our life sleeping. So do you want the best sheets on the planet? I mean, I do. So I have them on my bed. I love them. And I mean, love isn't even the word. I just adore them. And so just make sure that you go and use the code Kate. Go to CozyEarth.com. Get her a lounge set. Get her some amazing sheets, the amazing slippers. She's going to love ya. Cozy Earth is like luxury items. So it's a good way to splurge, because you're supporting free speech on the air, which we don't have very much of anymore. Okay. There's a lot of people doing a lot of rah-rahs with DOGE, and I understand that the things are sounding good to the ear. But if you're really going to be a true thinker, you really have to go big picture and understand why they're saying what they're saying and what's happening here. Yeah, it sounds good, but the problem is that we are living in a society where there are nefarious forces behind the presidency, and what are they actually doing? And I'm sorry, but you need to ask those questions if you're going to think. And I know you guys are, because otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this show. And we're always trying to understand really what's going on, not the story we're told. So, but what's actually happening here. Most people don't revisit this, and they should, because of the nature of this program, this SDI program. In the late 80s, under Bush, Papa Bush, the effort refocused to brilliant pebbles using small orbiting missiles. Now, you have to understand that this has been going on quite a while. Money keeps flowing in every year to a Star Wars program, but they haven't actually done anything. They haven't actually given us anything. Okay, they were refocusing. They were saying different things about it and what it could do. Everything is under the context of could, maybe, and would. Nothing under this is what it's actually doing. In fact, when you look at this, even going back to the 60s with Eisenhower, you're looking at prototypes, always a prototype, always. So why did Reagan even want to do this? Well, Reagan visited the NORAD command base, Denver, right? Cheyenne Mountain Complex, right? That weird airport and the Cheyenne complex and whatever they have going on in there is very weird. Sometimes I think, I've done shows on it, but wow. He was introduced to this extensive tracking and detection system extending throughout the world and into space. And he was struck by their comments that they could track the attack down to the individual target, but they couldn't stop it. Now, I think they might have lied just a little bit to him on and it was kind of amazing that they could track it, but they couldn't do anything about it. It was just kind of strange. So he felt in the event of attack that this would place the president in a terrible decision, having to choose between immediate counterattack and absorbing an attack. And so they decided to move ahead with this SDI program. Okay. So he was briefed by the former head of the DIA, Daniel Graham, and briefed Reagan on the updated Bambi that was held over from the 60s. And they now called it High Frontier. It was a missile shield composed of multi-layered space-based weapons that could track and intercept and destroy ballistic missiles. Theoretically, still in the theory stage, okay? You get my drift, right? Still there. Not moving into anything concrete, just theory. In fact, there was a 1982 report entitled High Frontier, a New National Strategy. How it would function, not that it did function, just how it would function. So we're going through all of these years. Money is being spent, okay? And in 1983, when Reagan gave his speech, he goes, I call upon the scientific community in this country, those who gave us nuclear weapons, I've done shows on nuclear weapons, to turn the great talents to the cause of mankind and world peace, to give us the means of rendering these nuclear weapons obsolete. So that's interesting. He's saying that he wants to do that, but I have newspaper clippings, screenshots of newspaper clippings where we're sending nukes to Russia. We're sending nukes all over. We're sending them to Iraq. And hey, France, can you overlook this? We're going to send some to Iraq. And we're sending them everywhere. And now all of a sudden they want to make them obsolete. But we've been sending them places. We're the ones that created those, they said. So why were we giving them out? Okay. And the technology, now you can say the technology was stolen and they created their own, except for the fact that there are articles saying that we were giving them. Okay. So when we did the whole 80s and 90s and 2000s and recently Iraq, do they have weapons? Do they not? We were literally giving them weapons. It says so in the newspaper. It was the big splashy articles. We're sending them over and we just hope they don't do anything with them. Were we creating our own fear tactics? Yeah, we were. Yeah. Okay. So this keeps going and it's sort of then revamped when the Clintons get it. It's then revamped when George W. Bush gets it. And all of a sudden, you just keep seeing articles like, gee, kind of questioning it, but not really, because the press won't do that, because the AP News and Reuters will not question programs like this. They won't bring them up. Sometimes on a surface level, nothing deep, because they are not your good journalists. They're not your good reporters. They are told what to say by the Pentagon. And the Pentagon did not want this black budget on everybody's mind. They did not want people thinking that they were sending stuff to smoke and mirrors, things that we could not do. And so they even went as far, okay, not AP, but the government went as far to put this out there. And it wasn't really for the public as much as it was in a report. But basically they were saying this. They concluded that none of the systems could be deployed as an anti-missile system until the next century. I kid you not. All this money, and that was 2 decades into major billions going into this. They concluded, okay, they did a report, they did their own investigation, and they actually came out with this and they said, yeah, we can't actually do an anti-missile system until the next century. Just let that sit for a second. This is after tons of money, tons and tons and tons of money, okay? The Brilliant Pebbles thing was about missiles firing a short period. Warheads didn't rise high enough for them to be easily tracked into the satellite above them. And so then they had a system called Brilliant Eyes to feed the Brilliant Pebbles. I kid you not. So it doesn't matter who's president. Doesn't matter. The money keeps flowing. The money, it's just redirected. It's just reformed. New program, new direction. Same problem. They never actually really get there. Doesn't matter who's president. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle. They're all marching to the same tune. Be right back. I have so much more. Wait till I get to the rest of it. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show.
I hear every day about the products you all wish My Pillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard My Pillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use My Pillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all My Pillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard My Pillows absolutely free.
The Kate Dalley Show starts now.
The success of DOGE is only possible with President Trump and with the outstanding cabinet that he selected. It would be impossible without the support of the president and the cabinet.
But you're finding the money. I mean, it's big numbers, right?
Yeah, like Elon said, the minimum impulse bid is often $1 billion. So, for example, the $830 million, which was the online survey, that's an enormous amount of money that wouldn't have been found if the DOGE team wasn't working with it, in that case, the Department of Interior. But then taking it one step further, DOGE then publishes these things on our website for maximum transparency. So now the general public, it would have been impossible for the general public to have seen that. Now anyone can just log into doge.gov anytime and see these payments. As they're not yet in real time, they're close, but they'll probably be in real time within the next few weeks.
Usually when they attack DOGE, they never attack any of the specifics. So they'll say what we're doing is somehow unconstitutional or illegal or whatever. We're like, well, which line of the cost savings do you disagree with? And they can't point to any. And we list them all on doge.gov and the Doge handle on X. And you'll see just outrageous things, one outrageous thing after another.
So really critical systems are old. They cost a lot of money to maintain, and they can be, the efforts to improve them are often very delayed.
Social Security is because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
All right. That was Elon and some of the DOGE team being interviewed by weird Brett Baer, who can't ask a question to save his life. I mean, a concrete, real question. Anyway, he's just an interesting guy, Brett Baer. They all are. The ones on TV, they're very interesting. Very, very, very bought and sold in my book. So, all right, welcome, Kate Dalley Show, last hour on a Friday. And I just want to say one more time, look, I'm not against DOGE. I'm not against getting rid of fraud and waste and illegal, which we don't really ever say, right? It's just fraud and waste, but illegal things that should have never been paid. Okay, everyone is. If you love this country, you want all that to go away. But why now suddenly? Why now suddenly? Are they laying down a plot? Is there a plot here that is directed for a certain reason? And I would say yes. I would say they are constantly pointing out the fact that nothing is transparent. We need transparency. We need digital payments. We need everything digital, so this never happens again. And by the way, here's a carrot. You're going to have more money in your Social Security. You're going to like that. So you should just like what we do and don't look at it. Okay, so I'm trying to go more big picture on this and really kind of look at what government's been doing and how they operate. And they want us to just focus on Social Security, right? And USAID. That's pretty much been the conversation. I don't expect a miracle. They can't have the conversation about everything. I get that. But 1.3 trillion Social Security, we spend 7 trillion. So there's a lot of work to do, right? If you're really going to get rid of the fraud and waste. But with the modernization executive order on the digital payments, government is now, as of September, going to digital payments only, no paper checks. No paper checks. I see that as a big problem in conjunction with this, because then I see more of a plot to say, hey, we're going to hold this little carrot of transparency. Look, you're going to want this. It has to do with your Social Security, and just applaud what we're doing, but don't ask any serious questions about it. That's what I see happening. Okay. You could say, well, Kate, you're suspicious. Okay. Yeah, the fact that Modernization Act, and they're calling it modernization, okay, it is not modernization. It is tyranny for a reason. So let's be real about that, okay? All they have to do is cut the fraud. They don't have to transform how payments are made. That does not have to be the solution here, but that's the solution you're getting. So I would say get out of the tribes, okay? And let's start really looking at what's happening, because we're kind of building our own prison and not realizing it, okay? Because we go, yay, we're getting rid of all the waste. No, we're not. We're getting rid of some things, and it's being utilized for a reason to deliver a solution of digital tyranny for the future that will be geared for us and not the elite. Okay, the New World Order elite is not going to cut its own throat. They're not going to do that. They're doing this for a reason, to sell us on this idea that we have to have transparency. We'll get more money out of it. We'll get more Social Security. Everybody wants that. So just love that, and don't say a single word about it. That's what they're doing, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be. Just giving you my 2 cents. That's what I'm seeing. Seeing a lot of carrots being dangled, but I'm not seeing. All I keep seeing is digital transparency, and that isn't good for us, because once you can't use cash, once that's gone, and we go to this completely, which is in part of the modernization executive order, then which is illegal, by the way, anyway, constitutionally, but whatever. Once we do that, then we don't have any anonymity. And there are mechanisms, I can't talk, for total control over what you spend, even at the store, because it's all digital. It can disappear in a heartbeat. They can take it in a heartbeat. Try getting it back once they take your money digitally. And if they want to tank the market, which is what they seem to be going in the direction of, tanking the market, the tariffs are adding on to the cost of living, right? So you have tariffs adding on to it because we're not getting rid of the other taxes. So then we have all of the taxes. We have them all. And so I get the long-term plan. I get why he says he wants to do it this way. But unless we get rid of all the other stuff we have to pay on, we're just going to get clobbered in this. So there's a lot here to unpack. But let me go here. So I want to bring just a couple of things up before I take calls, and then I'll take calls, okay? So I went through the Star Wars program, SDI, and there's a few more things to say about it. This was the Star Wars program that we've been spending billions on. We're still spending money on it, by the way, and they still can't deliver what they say they can deliver. Yeah, you go 40 years saying, we're just going to keep refocusing our efforts on, this is the newest leg of this, and then they never produce anything. Star Wars was the system in 1983 that Reagan talked about that was supposed to be able to shoot a nuke out of the air if it was going to come to us using space. Okay. Couldn't do it. Never could accomplish it. And then even the Union of Concerned Scientists back in 1984, after they already okayed the money, they concluded that the X-ray laser offers no prospect of ever being useful component in a system for ballistic missile defense. But that was what the whole program was centered around at the time. That's what it was sold on. 1993, Clinton's, they just changed it, SDIO to Ballistic Missile Defense Organization. It went to Brilliant Pebbles, and it was Brilliant Eyes overseeing Brilliant Pebbles. You get the drift. Okay, 2002, George W. Bush renamed it the VMDO, Missile Defense Agency, still putting a lot of money. Where did all the money go? Okay, where did it all go? If you can't deliver something in the first 6 months of being funded, don't you think that funding should have been ripped away and accounted for? Never was. Doesn't matter who's president, doesn't matter what tribe takes over, it's not accounted for. So then we said, well, one thing that came out of it was a parallel development program, advanced laboratory X-ray lasers in the labs for biological imaging, such as 3D holograms of living organisms. Okay. Then they decided to work on rail guns. And then they said rail guns have all these technical challenges for to be ready for battlefield deployment. That was under Papa Bush. So all of these things, you get the drift. 2014, okay, under Obama, it basically a CIA declassified paper said in response to the SDI, the Strategic Defense System, Star Wars, Moscow threatened a variety of military countermeasures in lieu of developing a parallel missile defense system, but then didn't. Okay, so you see how the threats just keep coming? It's like a threat. And we get to spend more money, but we never have to be accountable for any of it. And then the latest one is now flipped to the Iron Dome. Now they're talking about an Iron Dome like Israel has. We want the Iron Dome over America. So it just keeps going, but changing names. And nobody still to this day can tell you where almost $500 billion has gone. And that's just the money they claim. So then, by the way, we had the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, 2 years before they showed us a version of the moon landing. So the states party the treaty that you're not allowed to put anything in space. You're basically not allowed to do that. But it was okayed anyway. Okay. So it doesn't matter. So what if the Cold War with Russia was all a ruse? What if the entire Cold War with Russia was a ruse to be able to hijack a lot of money in the fear that Russia was coming after us? I mean, they never did send anything over here. They never could, right? What if the space race was conjoined with a reason to develop NASA? Huge money laundering operation. What if communism didn't come from Russia, but those communistic leaders were implanted by the elite, by railway, by the way, the Bolsheviks, were sent into Russia. They weren't an uprising in Russia. They were sent to Russia to be what made it look like an uprising. And that was the scapegoat. Russia was the scapegoat for bringing communism to the world. They just used that as the landing place for it. Oh, that would give us a pretty good enemy, wouldn't it? Okay. But if it was already going to all these continents anyway, they geared, the Stalin, the leaders of this, they trained them. It was a real manufactured people to go in and take root in these places. And then communism came out of it, and then communism spreads. But then Russia is the host country that they designed to start it. AIDS was implanted, and then for 35 years, Gates and Fauci were told to find a cure. Same exact kind of problem. Never had to deliver a cure. Money always given. AIDS was manufactured, and then the solution was a laundromat of money for the next 40 years for a cure. Be right back.
Well, hello everybody, it's Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure, or at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
Oh, he was such a weirdo. Was he not? Oh, anyway, David Bowie. All right, welcome back, Kate Dalley Show. And of course, get to my sponsors, katedalleyradio.com. You can also share this show, xamericanews.com, X-American News on X. You can watch it in the evening. It plays. And also just my sponsors, FIQsupplements.com, great sponsor. Has been for a long time because that's where I buy my supplements. They have ingredients that actually work and actually absorb into your body. And that's what you have to have, is something that absorbs. And so FIQsupplements.com, and the code word is Kate. That's my good advice to you. On Monday, I'll have some advice on water to drink, the most mineralized water. By the way, you know, they keep saying drought, right? You know that some of these bottled waters, these mineral waters, are from wells that just keep on a-going from the 1500s. Yep, all we have to do is drill down, baby, for water. Don't buy the drought narrative. A lot of people, con artists out there working for water conservancies and working for the government will want to sell you that lie because there's a lot of money and power behind it. God wouldn't put us on this earth without enough water. There's lots of water. Where do you think all this bottled water is coming from? Okay. Geez Louise, there's so many lies. Okay. So I wanted to say, I was leaving the last segment and I said AIDS. AIDS was another one of these where they served up AIDS. They told gay men to go in and get a hepatitis shot, a new hepatitis shot. And then that seemed to spread. And then, of course, the solution was the AZT, the ATZ, the stuff that was actually killing them, or some of the drugs that they were given. And then Fauci and Gates wanted to give us a cure, which never happened, which, by the way, still to this day, working on that cure. Boy, they got the COVID shot out, though. They got that out and ready to go for the mystery illness, and actually had enough, even in the time of shortages, just magically delicious, like magically had it. But they still couldn't provide you an AIDS cure. Maybe we should think about that for just a moment, right? Okay. So these programs, these things that are happening in government, DOGE is really, the conversation is about USAID and Social Security. Social Security being something that everyone identifies with. We all want them to have more of their own money that has been taken from them. We should have stopped that program a long time ago, but we didn't. And so the money is taken from you. And so you want your elderly to have more money. So that's the carrot. And their solution is the modernization of the digital currency. Ousting of the dollar is happening right now, even though no one wants to say it. And it's very unpopular to say because we're supposed to be rah-rah every day. Every conservative host is supposed to be rah-rah. I love my governor. I love what's happening. I love everybody, and I love Trump. But the problem is that if you're going to be a thinking American, you had better start thinking analytically about what's going on and what we're doing and what they're doing. And we got to see behind that. So this is what I wanted to mention, especially when it comes to Elon. Now, Elon right now, he sounds really good and he makes a lot of sense and it sounds nice. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. Even listening to his clip, he sounds sincere. He sounds like, hey, I'm here for you. I just want to get rid of that fraud. Okay, I like that. Who wouldn't? Now, I want you to think about SpaceX for just a moment. SpaceX. SpaceX is made to look like a private organization. SpaceX and what is it? What is the other Planet? There's another one, Planet Labs. Okay, Planet Labs. These are two organizations that are delivering what we pay NASA to do. Think about that. We pay NASA. We don't pay them. Money's hijacked from us in a big old laundromat of a black hole to be delivered to NASA to do what SpaceX is doing in Planet Labs. Although both work hand in hand, linking arms, sitting on each other's laps for the government. So they're not really private. but I do want to mention something about them when I come back. It just gets more and more exciting, doesn't it? And then I'll spend the first 5 minutes and I'm going to take your phone calls. I want you to weigh in on this. Everything that I've said, I want you to weigh in on it. Be right back. Kate Dalley Show.
There you go.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, My Pillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 My Pillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard My Pillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use My Pillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to mypillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all My Pillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard My Pillows absolutely free.
I got the feeling that something ain't right. I'm so scared in case I fall off my chair. And I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Yes,
All right, welcome back. Kate Dalley Show. Okay. So let me say this. Hit my sponsors. Keep me on the air. I guarantee I don't think there's anyone else talking about what I'm talking about today. Look, because there won't be, because most people are just bought and sold and told what to say, sadly. The woke owns media. The woke owns newspapers. The woke owns all of it. You're not going to hear very many messages anymore that are true. Okay, so the woke is going to have a conversation with DOGE, the woke, okay, on, but there's no, what about Fed jobs? Even though they were illegal jobs, never should have happened in the first place. I don't want to see anyone lose their job. And then you have, on the right, you have, it doesn't matter what they do, everything's perfect. Don't look, just everything's great. Move on, everything's perfect. And then if you're awake, you're going to go, there's century of spending that is illegal, unconstitutional and illegal. If you're truly awake, you're going to see it all. Doesn't matter who's president. Okay. Also, odds are that DOGE is not going to talk about what I'm talking about today. They're going to center it on Social Security and USAID because the elite are willing to cut their own throat on that to sell digital transparency. Digital tyranny is the control mechanism of digital payments. Only no cash, no anonymity for us, only for them. And then also, they're not going to mention any kind of this like billions and billions and billions and billions pouring out into space, pouring out into defense systems, pouring out into AIDS, pouring out into beloved, COVID, all this stuff. Okay. Then also, they just don't want you. They want you to defend electric cars and Tesla. They want you to defend the space program. They want to victimize it so that you'll defend it and you won't ask any questions about what's actually happening. If you ask a question, it doesn't mean that you like fraud and waste. It means that you're going, wait, I know government. What's the deeper story here? I know government. They don't cut their own throat. So what's happening? So it's good to ask a question because you need to be asking. It means you're a critical thinker, right? So I won't have time because I told you I'd take your calls, but I do want to say that in the exploration of looking at SpaceX, started in 2002. Okay. They said they wanted to decrease the cost of space launches, but that they also worked hand in hand with the Air Force and NASA so closely, so ever closely that they are emerged as one. But we don't ever say that because now we have to make it look private because Elon's a front man, a CIA guy, but they want to make it look private. So they have to make him look like he is just a capitalist, but actually he's one of theirs. Okay. So you should be asking questions about him. And It doesn't mean you don't want the fraud taken out of DOGE. It means that you're asking questions because, interestingly enough, he's had all this money and is linked arms with the government to do it, just like Gates has. Gates controls our health and our education. Why is that? He's a computer guy with Asperger's. Why is he controlling all of that? Okay, so ask those questions. And then, of course, all through the years, Planet Labs and SpaceX have done like layoffs, and they never can quite get to their goal. And they have, since 2002 for SpaceX, been promising, I hate to say the pun, but the moon, promising all of these things that they can do, not quite delivering. Sounds kind of like the Star Wars thing, right? All kinds of problems. And so funding has just been flowing to them, even though they can't actually, every time they would put a goal out, and believe me, I really researched this. I have loads of notes, but I'm telling you, the snapshot of this is that there was always a reason they couldn't quite do what NASA said it could do since the 60s. NASA claimed to have done things since the 60s that Elon couldn't do with never-ending funding and Planet Labs. And why isn't NASA just doing it? If they're working closely, why is that? Is it there to make it look like they are competing? And so there's always going to be reasons why they can't quite reach their goal. We can't quite get back to the moon. We can't quite go to another place in space. We can't quite get past the Van Buren belts. We can't quite do it. So there's a laundromat of money being spent continuously for all these programs forever. And we are just going to sit there and never question it and only talk about DOGE for Social Security. Are you kidding? It's endless. It's endless. And we should all just be out of our minds on this. So you have to, as an American citizen, I say citizen laughingly, as an American, you better be asking questions about this. The woke, they just want to look at the news and go, everything that they say is truthful, and it's always a fight against right versus the left. I've never met such stupid people in all my life. Is the woke lefty liberal? You just go, is there a brain in there? I don't know. Is there? I don't think it exists. They don't question a thing. They only point a finger at a conservative and say, you're a capitalist. Alrighty. So they never question any of the things I'm talking about. They never do any reporting on it. They never do any real journalism on it. They never expose it because they don't want to. All right, caller, make it quick. Go right ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. I wanted to say one thing. What they're very much doing now, the Democrat Party, now that they've lost and they're completely in disarray, they're resorting to violence. And you're going to watch this next coming few days how much violence out there against, like, the Tesla cars, for example. Yeah. For example, and you're going to see Antifa pretty soon coming out of the woodwork.
Right.
Sponsored by good old Georgie Soros.
Yeah, they're all paid. Yeah, they're all paid. But I think, thank you for the call, but I think it is really, truly there to victimize Tesla, to victimize electric cars, to victimize SpaceX, so that we defend it without asking any questions. I think that's the ultimate goal. Okay. Is it happening? Well, yeah, because it's probably being paid to happen. But I think it's more or less, it's geared toward defend. Because if you can martyr something, you are going to be quick to defend it. And if you ask a question, you don't want to be one of them, right? So then you don't ask because you don't want to be one of them. All right? That's kind of how it works. So, okay, caller, go right ahead. Make it quack. Make it quick. Make it quack.
Okay.
Make it quick.
I was glad last week you mentioned that all family pharmacy buy one, get one deal.
Awesome.
I had ordered last Friday my ivermectin.
Awesome.
I wanted the fenbendazole,
yeah,
but it was out of stock.
Okay.
And that ended on Sunday, the 23rd. So I just thought I'd let you.
Okay. I was told it goes to this Sunday. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. I was told it goes to this Sunday, but okay. Darn it. But you can still get it, which is nice. Okay. Caller, make it fast.
Just look at the Charles Schultz special with Peanuts, and Lucy's always holding the ball. Charlie Brown's always trying to kick the ball, but it never quite gets there. And so you have to realize that traditional techniques don't work.
Yeah.
And of course, these false flag operations, just like at the Israeli border, that was allowed. And so they go after the sock puppet Hamas, but they kill all the people there, including Christians and Jews and Muslims that are living together peacefully in Gaza. And and we're supposed to look the other way, and that's called genocide. But yet, if you say anything, you might end up down there in Louisiana in that prison gulag with the other guy who was promoting or exposing genocide.
Yeah,
so
CMUs. I did a show on CMUs. They're the secret prisons where people go and no questions can ever be asked and nobody can ever talk about it or say anything. And they're all over. One's in Illinois. Thank you so much. They're all over the place. And these are black site prisons right here in America. Congress can't even get in there. Even if you ask Congress, they would deny it. They would deny going in to help you, right? Person goes in there, they can stick them in a black hole. No one would ever know. They've been going on a long time. Be right back, Kate Dalley Show. I'll let you call in right when I come back.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
The ship is waiting, all systems are go. Are you sure? Control is not convinced, but the computer has the evidence.
All right, welcome back. Kate Dalley Show. All right, it's a Friday show. Yeah. Look, if you're woke, you're going to complain about Trump's personality. And you basically have brain cells 1 layer deep. I mean, it's like Trump's personality gets you going, right? I don't know why. I've always liked Trump. He's never irritated me. But I view all government the same. So if you're awake, and I mean really awake, you're going to see that no matter, especially after today's show, no matter who's president, all the programs continue. They just shift names. Okay? All the biggest money holes, the big laundromats, Ukraine, which we outed from day one, all the things, right? All of these things I've talked about today have been going. It doesn't matter who's president. They all keep going. And then the show on the stage is just in front of you to what they're going to present to you. That's the show. So if you're really awake, we start to understand that all of government is this, and that we just, look, I've been attacked. I have been verbally. I have been told I'm a liar to my face. I've been told all kinds of things. You can't even imagine what I've been told to my face. But also, all these really woke people, they get these awards from woke entities, and they're supposed to be these people doing their great job at telling you the truth, and they don't. Okay? They don't say any of this. They say the peripheral. They stay on the woke side of things, and they just give the woke analysis. We have to go so much deeper as Americans. We were meant to think. Don't ever shy away from that. Don't ever shy away from telling the truth and trying to get out there and make a difference in that way. We need you. The truth tellers have always been a small minority. It doesn't matter. Look at Christ and the apostles. Very small group. Okay? It's never the masses. That's why they call them asses. It's never the masses are asses. We never actually, the truth tellers are always going to be the smallest group, never talked about. The ones that don't get the awards, the ones that don't get the careers, the ones that don't get out there and are able to do those things. And keep in mind, from the seat I sit in, I see a lot of infiltrators, a lot of people posing to be patriots, posing to care, wearing the flag T-shirt, not really fighting for anything, but it looks good. It's a fun dog and pony show. And we have to actually call people out and say, This is not okay. We have to be able to talk about endless programs, big old laundromats of money, handed off from one presidency to the next. And I know that that we think that possibly this is the time when we get all this straightened out. I fear that the only solution we're going to get is the one that leads us into total tyranny. And I'm going to keep saying that, and I don't care if people don't like it. I'm sorry, I just can't not say that. I mean, I don't understand why on the right we're even more infiltrated on the right because people trust it, and so we have to stop and realize the lies being told, and that we're not getting to the truth all the time. And I think that is vital and extremely, extremely important. Hi, caller. Welcome to the show. Go right ahead. Make it quick.
Yeah, so when all is said and done, Kate, I think we're going to discover at the end of this 4-year Donald Trump presidency that more will be said than done. But there's some consolation. When this nation faces national bankruptcy, at least it'll be under a president that loves this country and talks a lot about conservatism.
All right.
I'm with you.
Well,
I sense your frustration. Can I add one more comment?
Okay.
You need to do a show on what would most likely happen when this country, I say when, not if, this country has to declare bankruptcy.
Yes.
Who will be the person who presides over that? It will probably be the UN, but we should do a show on that.
You got it. I will. In fact, that's when they take the all your investments, pensions, to pay for it. It even says we don't own them, actually. Once you start investing, you don't own those dollars. So yeah, there's a lot to be said there. And look, it's not about Trump. It's just not about Trump. So much deeper. And this has been going on for so many years, all these boondoggle projects, all these crazy, like, we're going to get there, we just need billions more. This has been going on for so long. It's not about Trump. We have to get off of the Trump topic. Everyone likes to focus on Trump. It's like Trump this, Trump that. Trump's either Satan or Trump is the hero that can do no wrong. We have to get out of that. And we have to get into a place where you go, look, this isn't about him. It's about everything else going on. Everything else. Just like it wasn't really about King Dingaling, Biden and Hormala. It was about everything going on in the background, everything going on behind the scenes. So we have to be in a place where we're able to separate that out and go, look, this is government and their goals. I mean, they're going to achieve their goals. They're either going to put this kind of icing on it, or they're going to put this kind of icing on it. And we have to understand what that means to us, right? If you're investing and you have a pension and you're going to count on that and we go bankrupt, yeah, I think it disappears overnight. I think that they'll absorb also a lot of our land that we think we own too. There's a reason that in 2014, under the Conservation Act, that we on the right passed, by the way. My horrid Congressman Stewart at the time, voted yes for that. And what it did was it said to families, hey, you can keep your piece of land under your name, but you have to sign this contract and hand it over to the Conservation Act, 2014. And at the end of the contract, and I've said this many times on the show, it says that you are giving up your rights to this property to the entity that takes over this country. And in perpetuity, which is illegal in that contract, but they say it forever. I mean, we get suckered into so much, and we have to get to a place where we stop getting suckered and used. And that's what I fear is going on right now. We're suckered into it. They say all the right things. Right now, you're going to have more money in your Social Security. And it's really not about Elon. It's not like I don't like him. It has nothing to do with liking the guy. And it has nothing to do with not liking the guy. That's the conversation they want you to have. It's about who is he really? And has he been given a lot of money with a really weird story on how he acquired it? And he is at the helm of space money and also electric cars and also Neuralink going into our brains. So yeah, I have a problem with him because he hit 3 different things that he is at the helm that are dangerous for this country. Dangerous. They know electric cars are going to fail. That's why they want you to defend the Tesla. They know it's going to fail if we go all electric. They don't want people in cars. Cars is freedom. They don't want people having that kind of freedom. Why do you think they're building the 15-minute cities so we can walk and bike? They don't want you driving. That's the goal. They know it's going to fail, and they're serving it up as a solution because they know it'll fail, not because they think it'll succeed. And then that's where the woke doesn't understand how they're being used and lied to. So much of that. All right, now go enjoy your weekend. Be faithful, be fearless, and enjoy your weekend. Spend time with your family. Spend time with those people that you love. As much of that as you can get in is the best. And I'll see you back here on Monday. I have 2 guests on Monday. See you back here Monday. Kate Dalley Radio.